Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. This week we're with Shane Riley of J. Bardee Canvas and Leather in Oriana, Idaho. Shane is sharing how he and his wife Amy started their business with $135 and a Facebook post. We're talking about how they've built their business, what it means to have a quality American-made product, and keeping the cowboy way of life alive. So here we go with Shane Riley. All right, well, I'm here today with Shane Riley of J. Bardee Canvas and Leather in Oriana, Idaho. Shane, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, sure, you're welcome. Glad you gave us a little call today.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about you. Have you always lived in Idaho?
I grew up in a little hay community called Lehigh, Arizona. I was there 20 years. Pretty much a rough period of my life, I like to say, in Arizona. Came up to Idaho, and I've lived in the same county now for almost 25, 26 years, something like that, 27 maybe now. But I'm originally from Arizona and transplanted to Idaho somewhere around 91, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And I've been here ever since.
And we have to know, how did you and Amy meet?
At church, I suppose. She was playing the piano, and I was kind of a backwards city kid. Came in there, and I don't know, she was playing the piano, and I guess I liked how it sounded.
That's great. Well, tell us a little bit about your background career-wise, because I think that plays an important part in your story.
I've just about done everything under the sun as far as construction, packing. My dad was an outfitter.
Okay.
He was a guide most of his life as a houndsman, and I did a lot of that with him. I did a lot of packing, and also construction-wise. My brother and I ran a construction company for 20-something years. We got to go around the world building things. We built a dozen churches or so, not on our continent. We got to go do things in Asia. We got to do things in Africa. We got to do a lot of building that was overseas. And along with that was missionary work. It was it is my passion to do, and just try to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ has been my goal for 30 years almost. And that construction business that we had kind of motored that and was a big part of that. Now, as we've kind of dropped back into this business, we still have that on our hearts to do. We just don't go overseas quite as much. This shop has us, if we're not in here making canvas, then canvas doesn't go anywhere. So we're a little bit more tied to home, but that's okay. We're building something that I think will last, in this business here. So I've cowboyed on and off for 25 years here. When I came to Idaho, I didn't even know you could ride a horse. It was all mules. Dad never had horses. He had always had mules. But you get on a mule out here in the Scion country, and they don't smile on it like they do in Arizona and other places. So we started cowboying horseback here in Oriana for these local guys. When I first got married, I wanted to go cowboying, and I was broke as could be, and had a baby come in, and I called a guy, and his name was Billy Kane. He was the cow boss at the Spanish ranch at the time, and I said, "Hey, Billy, I would like to come work for you." He said, "Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, And I told him, and he said, "You don't want to come over here." He said, this deal over here is for single guys. He said, "What you do is," he said, "you just start day working for those guys around you, and hang your single day working." And he said, "You need to be home with your little baby and wife, and that'd be better." He said, "You don't want to work on these big ranches. It's not a married guy deal." So I did, and I started just riding for day wages here locally, and have have done that. Yeah, I still do it.
Wow.
I got to manage a few places, got to work on some bigger ranches that are pretty much from the old Bruno River area to the Oregon line. I don't think there's a drainage there that I haven't got to ride in or punch cows in, and that's a pretty big stretch of the Hawaii. So just stayed right here and didn't get the wanderlust like a lot of cowboys do. I just stayed right here and kind of raised my family and shod some horses and make ends meet and things like that. But somewhere about 2013 or 14, I broke my ankle, had a colt jump across a creek and land on my ankle, and I was kind of hobbled up on crutches, and I think a little bit too much in Amy's kitchen, and so we started this deal, and with one bed tarp, we drove to town, which is I think you've heard this part of our story, but I think it's a 100+ mile round trip. We drove to town, bought a piece of canvas, and came home and built a bed tarp, made some leather straps on it. I had lost mine in a fire. And so we were just she was trying to get me a project. So we did that. And when we got done building that bed tarp, she said, I'm going to sell this thing on Facebook. And I thought, oh, she's crazy. And she put it up there. And within 11 minutes, I think is what we've always pretty much said, inside of 11 minutes, someone had put money in our bank account for that bed tarp. And, we were still cowboy wages and poor. I think we started this whole business with $135.
Wow.
We the next day we drove back to town and bought another piece of canvas. Pretty much fed the fuel tank most of the profit from that first one. And by the third day, I said, "Honey, let's do something crazy. Let's buy 2 pieces of canvas." And we did that. Anyway, by Christmas, we had made over 35 bed tarps.
Wow.
And someone got a hold of us and said, why don't you throw up a little booth here at Jordan Valley Big Loop in the spring? And we did that. By this time, we were rolling with the bed tarps, and we were making some gear bags and things. And a cowboy at Jordan Valley asked us, hey, build me a teepee. And we didn't know nothing about teepees or, like that. So we were making a bunch of bed tarps and gear bags and things like that. But we built that first teepee for a kid, and it really took off. And we're almost to the 400 teepee mark as far as our business since that first one. And bed tarps we lost track of a long time ago. We don't even know how many bed tarps we've built and things we've built. We've shipped canvas and leather goods to, I think, 7 or 8 countries now.
Wow.
And almost every state. We've even sent canvas to Hawaii. We've made a lot of canvas in I don't think we've sent anything to Puerto Rico yet, but that's on our bucket list. We'll get something built to send to Puerto Rico, but
yeah,
they just don't have the cows down there, I guess. But
okay.
That's how we kind of got started. There was one other thing I'll back up on and mention. As far as everyone says, how do you make a business? And Amy and I, for that first 90 days of our business, at the end of the month, we gave away every single thing that we'd made for 90 days. And it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but at that time it was. And we emptied out the little account or whatever we had every single at the end of the month, and we gave it away. And we still try to maintain, if someone calls for a rodeo or anything that's a benefit, or this company, we kind of tried to build so that we could give away. And, we've had a few people try to take advantage of that, things like that, but we try to give away, to a little rodeo here or a little rodeo there, some of the big ones even. And we try to give a little bit, try to give back.
That's incredible. I love that. So over the years, you talked a little bit about you expanded into other product lines because either people requested it or you're like, hey, we could do this. So tell us now about all the different things you offer.
a friend of ours from Western Horseman, she had Jessica, our daughter, she had her build, just for one example. Everyone has an idea, and Jennifer Dennison from Western Horseman, she contacted Jessica, and she said, "Hey, Jessica, why don't you make me a Christmas stocking for everyone here at the office at Western Horseman?" And so she did that. She just made a little canvas sock, with a tooled leather top, and I think some names or something on the top. Anyway, that took off that year, and we made 200 or 300 of those stockings for that Christmas. And Jennifer put a little editorial and some pictures things in a Christmas issue. The following year, well, now we're making Christmas socks like they're just, we don't even have time to make bed tarps. We're making these Christmas stockings, and still at Christmas time we usually make 150 to 200 every Christmas. Things like that have we never shy away from. We've always tried to stay with our three main items. But things like that come up, and we do them. One time, she from her dorm room, she made leather lanyards. I'd send her up, she'd come home or something, and her and our son Isaac, they'd come home, and I'd send them with a bunch of leather and a little pounded block and mallet, and she made 50 to 60 leather lanyards, or keychains, or different things like that. So our kids have really gotten involved too, and learned early that they could, with the help of the mailman and a little bit of leather, they could make some money. The other products, sometimes you have to rein it back in.
Yeah.
And, like right now, we're so busy with teepees that even our advertisement, we had to drop back on our advertising for our bags, our war bags and gear bags, because we're making so many teepees right now. There's just Amy and I in the shop, and our niece works with us too. She comes in and sews for us 2 or 3 days a week. But we're at this point right now, we're wondering, do we change the decimal point and go bigger, or do we just kind of stay mom and pop and live our life here in Oriana?
Yeah. So are you leaning one way or another?
Well, Amy, through the business, it never did take the fact that I wanted to be horseback away. And so I take care of 400 cows in the spring, get them through Brandon, and then ship them up to Forest Service. So I think with that and just bumping along with what we're doing, I think we're real happy here.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna, try to bite off the big the big canvas donut, but I think we're pretty happy where we're at right now. We want to be able to stay with that it's just made by a cowboy and his wife, and if we do a bunch of hiring, I think some of that will evaporate. We're not sure we're wanting to do that.
Yeah. So J. Bardee is actually your family brand, right?
It is. It was my father and my uncle came up to Idaho almost 35 something years ago and registered the brand for the first time. And it's Joe and Dawson. That's my uncle and my dad.
Oh.
And my brother and I have the brand now in both of we both use it. And it is our family brand, J. Bardee. And with the website and things, we had to change that because we had people all the time wanting to call our company J-D or
Yeah.
So on our website we had to spell it out, and sometimes I wish we never had to do that, but just for even our .com and all that, we had to spell out J. Bardee. And in fact, last Christmas, Amy ordered me this little cutout, and it said J. Bardee on G-J-B-A-R-D. And I said, "Honey, that's not my brand. Where I can't hang that anywhere." She said, "I know, but that's our company. That's our logo." And she did. She had it. We had a real nice person make us a real good logo and with this spelled out. But every time I see it, I thought, that's really not me. But I guess for the internet world, it has to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and a lot of people still they say JD and JD Canvas and leather, and none of that bothers me. I know that it was it's just whatever we put on our horses and cows.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with the Western world and
Right,
branding and stuff, you would not know that. So
right, and that's what we get all the time, and that's why even when we were picking our domain, we had to go spell it out. So
I think it's cool that bed tarps have long been a part of the cowboy way of life. But it seems like, and what you were just saying proves that people are using them for other stuff too. So
sure, oh yeah, sure. We have a lot of different people, and I'll just give you one example. It's a good cowboy friend of mine. The other day, he goes, "How are you still sending these bed tarps all across the country?" He said, "There's not that many guys that have jobs and they're staying out with the cows anymore. Where are all these going? Are they going to weekend warriors, that people that want a cowboy?" I told him, I said, what's strange is about 4 years ago, we had a guy who he's a trucker, and he got to packing our bedroll with him in his truck because he was afraid to because of bed bugs. He was afraid to sleep open the sheets on a hotel room, and so this guy, he got to, I don't know if it was a CB or what, but he got to talking about our company, and man, for a year and a half, 2 years, seemed like we were just sending bed tarps. These truckers were making up a regular old cowboy bed and throwing it in their cab, so that when they'd stay over in a hotel or whatever, they could just take that thing in there and roll it out, and here they'd have a bed, And I thought, what a great use of our product that these cowboys have used for a couple hundred years, is these truckers that don't want to bring bed bugs home.
Yeah.
But there's been quite a few of those type of things, and with a lot of our teepee tents go to these people that go out on the. We sent one to Norway, and this fella he reenacts these Viking crusades and things, and he does it 3 or 4 times a year, and he takes our little teepee because they don't allow any material that isn't a natural fiber, and so this guy he goes into this Viking camp, and they have all these guys around swinging clubs and axes, I guess, and here he sets up our teepee in the middle of it, and he sent us some pretty neat pictures and things. But I guess a teepee, these range tents, these cowboys have used for a long time. They sure had a lot of uses before they started to use them here on our continent.
Wow, you just never know, huh?
Right.
Well, talk a little bit about the business side, and you alluded to a couple of things, but what have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned as you've built this business?
That's a hard one. I never was business oriented, I guess. I have an 8th grade education, and in those 8 or 9 years of schooling, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know what a bottom line, I didn't learn any of that. Even in my construction business, my brother and I, we just thought if you went and built something, people give you money, and then you could go spend that, and that's kind of how we lived in that construction business. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing about that business, and even my shoeing business, is we never approached it like it was a business. It was just that we owned a job. Mm-hmm. And this has been a lot different because I got to spend about 4.5, 5 hours with a man named Tom Balding over in Wyoming in the very early part of our business. And he built that business, which is probably one of the biggest bit and spur businesses in the United States now. He told us, he said, I started from a garage type deal, same as you guys. He said, and what you do is you hire someone. Don't hire someone that can do something you can do. Hire somebody that can do what you can't do to start things out. And so what we did is very early we hired a bookkeeper to kind of track and show us what was possible and what we were doing. And I think that lesson right there has carried off. We still don't hire someone who can do what we can do, and we're really getting close to that thing. But where we do hire is someone who can do the things that we can't. And running a business is one of those things. I'm learning now that, and it seems like in reverse, but I'm learning now. We built this business to where we could lock the door tomorrow and not owe a single person, and we've been very fortunate in that. We still, as a company, we do not owe a single dime. We built our shop, our new shop here, and all of our equipment we own, and we're very, very proud of that. And with that bookkeeper mentality that we did hire into the business, we were able to. I mean, we're coming up on we're real close here to $1 million in sales since we started it in 2014, and we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to put most of that back in, and it's ours. It's a bank isn't J. Bardee or a financier or things like that. It's ours, and we're very proud of that. As far as business, I think too, business wise, if you don't get up early and turn the lights on, no one else is going to do that. Yeah. Work ethic wise, I'm not sure that this business didn't give me more of a drive, because I love getting in there, getting tools in my hands. I have to have it. My hands, actually, if I don't get in and start doing something early in the morning with my hands, they ache all day. So I have to. It just drives me. And same with Amy. I think that we have more of a love for what we do than we ever did before in this business. And I think vocation is everything, even in the scriptures and things Paul talked about. And I don't want to make this all about how I serve God, but in this business, I serve God in this business. And vocationally speaking, I think I finally found where we fit and can support the things that we believe in the most.
So good. What does it mean to you to have a quality American-made product?
We've had quite a few. In fact, we get it quite often. It's scary how cheap we could shop the things out that we do, and we've had people contact us, and we can build this for pennies of what we can do it. Even the raw materials and things to other countries, we can't even get them here and we would save just, but the product wouldn't be the same. It's not from someone who understands the use of the product, and we do not want to lose that at all. I don't think that there could be a margin big enough for us to shop out this business. That being said, Amy is a stitch Nazi. She I think what sets us aside in the teepee part, a bed tarp is pretty simple. It's just something that wraps around a bed. It's just a piece of canvas. But if you look at our teepees, and we can pick our teepees out because of the I don't know how to say it without being a little bit conceited, but Amy, the way she designed and the way we designed this teepee, she wants everything to just be like every stitch to be uniform and straight. And if we shop that out, that's gone.
Yeah.
And it has the same application, or it looks the same when you throw it up there, but not to us. And we would never want to lose that. We build every single part of our teepee, from the metal poles to our stakes.
Wow.
We don't shop out a single part of it, and we build everything custom order. We don't have a bunch of things sitting on the shelf. We get calls all the time. Hey, I just got hired at the Riddle Ranch, and I'm starting work in a week and a half. I need a teepee. Do you have anything on the shelf? And the answer is always no. But we started this business is for kids just like you, and we don't mind leaving the light on a little extra at night to get it to where you can go to work, and we've got a kind of a working deal with quite a few ranches that are like that. Some of the bigger ones, Wine Cup, McGamble. We try not to let any of those guys show up to work that don't have a bed tarp or a teepee, because that's really why we wanted this for a working cowboy, and there's not very many of them left, and every year, it seems like those bigger ranches, they have a turnover. Another new kid or 17 or 18-year-old kid comes from mom and dad's ranch, and out at their ranch, they're not having to go out and sleep on the wagons. They don't have that stuff, but they always take precedence over maybe the teepee going to Norway, or the teepee or the bed tarp going to a trucker. These kids, they're why we started this business in the first place, and so we kind of have a soft spot for them. They've got to take a $30,000 pickup and 6 horses that are worth $6,000 and $7,000 a piece to go make $1,800 a month. Your best, at least they can have a nice teepee and bed tarp to throw down on the ground and sleep at night.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
What's been the most rewarding part of the business?
I'm a junkie for bits and spurs, silver bits and spurs, and I think as far as my personal gear, I was just like every cowboy around here. I might have one bit or a nice set of spurs, one or something, but it's amazing to me what some of these guys will trade for a piece of canvas. And now, I've got bits and spurs, just I'm kind of a junkie collector, and I think it's been pretty rewarding to know that I have some 100-year-old bits made by J.S. Garcia and things that I wouldn't have gotten had we not started this business. And I've got, some very old, very collectible marked bits and spurs now because of this business, and they actually are a second part of it. We're the only canvas company that I know of that will trade a silver bit for a teepee or a bed tarp.
Yeah.
And I do that. I still do that every month. I don't. If they've got something that's value-wise gonna buy that teepee, and I think I can sell it later, I sure don't ever turn that down. And it's been pretty rewarding. I've got to, and it's also, some of my heroes.
Sure.
And some, some of the guys that I thought, were the pinnacle of the cowboy and profession and things. Now they're my peers, and I don't think just sitting here cowboying and me taking my horse and going out on my circle, I don't think that would have happened. But now through this business and through some sponsorships and just meeting people, we've gotten to rub shoulders and be peers now with some of these world champions and people that are in the business that have made a name.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't let you go without having you tell me a little bit about your town. So tell me about Oriana.
Oh, Oriana is a special place. If you close your eyes and you picture heaven, if you bring that down, if let's say heaven's at the dial of 10, and you bring that down to about a 9 3/4, when you open your eyes, that's what Oriana would be like. If you've ever been around here, you know that that's not true. We're high desert. We don't. A cow has to be moving when it's grazing. It can't sit in one spot. It's got a blade of grass about every 10 feet. It's a rough desert. Our springs these cows have to travel a long ways to water. But I think if a cow could pick, where to live, it would be in cow country just like this, because we don't feed cows, but maybe a month in the wintertime, and they do a pretty good job on the feed that we do have. But we caught the UPS man one time where there's a sign right here in Oriana. It says population 7, and it's crossed out and it says maybe 8. Well, we look over here and the UPS man is backing up his truck just right out in the middle of the road, and he set up a bipod, and he's taking a picture of himself. And I couldn't resist. I just said, well, I went out there and said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm taking my Christmas card shot." He said, to prove that I deliver to the smallest town out of the way, Bergen in Idaho. Anyway, that's about us. Is we got a population of 7, maybe 8.
That paints a pretty good picture.
Yeah. A lot of history here. In the old days of the mine, even right out here in front of our place, we butt up against one of the biggest BLM allotments in the state, and it's 20-something miles long and almost 30 miles wide. It goes from the Snake River to the foot of the Oahes, and it's a great big allotment. But on that, there's the Chinese used to come down into Oriana and camp during the wintertime from the mines. And so there's just a treasure trove of stuff if you go out there and kick some sand around or dirt around, of things just laying right outside the area here, and the house here. And as far as buckaroo history, there's some of the good buckaroos that still have songs sung about them, things like that, the Medinas and things like that. They grew up right here, and I think that as a culture. As a culture, it's disappearing. Some of these kids that I see when I first came in here, you would never see a bridle without a set of rawhide reins and romels on them. And now you're seeing some of these kids go out to the family cows, and they got a nylon set of reins or something that they got at the feed store. And some of this culture is going away. And it's sad to see, but the corporate world on some of these ranches is taken away. It broke my heart the other day. I heard that there's a big ranch south of us in Nevada, and the corporate, it's owned by a mining company, and they told them that they couldn't have a pocket knife in their pocket when they go cowboying. And I thought, my goodness, what in the world is a cowboy going to do without a pocket knife?
Yeah.
How is he going to do his job? And that kind of thing right there, just, I think that we live in a time here in this place, Oriana, where we're seeing the last of some of these cultural things. And I don't want to see them go. So I try real hard to make this business about some of that. That a young cowboy, a young kid can tie a rope around his horse's neck that's horsehair, not some yacht rope or, and I've tried real hard to get some of these young kids, 12, 13-year-old kids interested in some of this stuff. Hey, what if you took an old set of reins out of Dad's barn and got them all greased up, put them on your bridle instead of what you got there, and that's this place right here, and
that's really neat.
It seems like it's getting smaller and smaller as far as the eye on, but Oriana still seems to be a little pocket of some traditional type stuff, Some of this stuff really does it whenever you think about your business and what you want it to stand for, those are some of the things that I've always wanted our business to stand for.
I think that's so important, and I think it's really neat to see businesses like yours across rural America helping preserve this way of life that we all know and love, really. So that's great. What excites you the most about the future of rural America?
I think it's got to be the kids. you know.
Yeah.
I, I talked about how it's disappearing and things, but we just branded last week with the Shooties, good friend of mine, John Shooty, and he's got 3 kids, and they don't want to do anything but cows and rope stuff. And that right there, you know, if we can get a few of those kids like that, you know, that just love it, not because they're going to make money, not because they're going to get rich, but because they can just get up in the morning as early and go move cows around and make a life. Seeing kids like that, I think, is the most exciting thing for me. We just built a teepee for a kid who graduated from high school. He was a local kid. His grandpa was the cow boss at a ranch called the YP. His dad was cow boss at the YP, and we just got to build him a teepee, and he took off and kissed mom on the cheek, and he went to cowboy at the YP. And that's 3rd generation. You know, if he ever does become the cow boss or whatever, and does what his grandpa did, and his grandpa being Larry Shooty and his dad being Jake Brown, if he continues that, that's what excites me the most, I guess, you know. And I think that without family, staying in these pockets, without the family deal keep going, the corporate deal is going to fail, and it's all going to become mechanized and done with labor that doesn't have the love for the cow or the horse or whatever. You know, they get on a 4-wheeler and go do their thing. I think if you don't have these families, and I think they're getting smaller and smaller groups, but if you don't have these families that preserve that, then we're going to lose something as rural America. And I think that's in everything. That's in logging. That's in farming. That's if we don't have these families that preserve it. I got a real good friend. He's come back home to Bruno to work to put some cows on some family stuff. You know, he's trying to preserve 100-year legacy of that black family, and luckily there's a couple of them, his uncle and things, that have never turned loose to corporate mentality or to corporate dollars what that family has built over a span of 100 years. And he wants his kids and his grandkids to have that. And I think that's what excites me the most, is that there are some kids that are wanting to just cowboy, you know.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Well, what's next for you and Amy and J Bardee Canvas and Leather?
Well, you know, that's a good question.
And maybe it's just keeping up.
Yeah, she has a, you know, I love to be horseback, and I got these horses and cows and stuff, but she's we got a little piece of property up the creek, and she's wanting to put together a deal, and it's sort of in the lines of, you see them in some of the national parks or close to them, and they have canvas under the stars. You can rent a big sheep tent or something. She wants to do the same thing with teepees. She wants to build this place up that we got down the creek here, and be able to let people come here and be a part of that culture that we just spent 20 minutes talking about.
Yeah.
And so we're working on that right now. We've got the property, we've got it all fenced, and right now we're waiting on a well driller, and that's kind of exciting for her, because she's gonna have a hobby. You know, I got this hobby. I leave in the morning 4:00 and go Brandon, and she still has to sew, but she wants to have something where she goes down there and puts together back the teepees or whatever after a guest has left, and she's pretty passionate about it. So I think that's what's next for J Bardee, is we're gonna make a little area that you can come stay in a teepee for a few nights and get on a horse and move a steer around or something, you know.
Put me on the list.
All right, sounds good.
Yes, finally, when I'm able to travel, that sounds like an amazing trip. So we'll make it happen when you guys are ready.
You bet. You know, sit around by the fire or something. Maybe get my brother to come play his guitar and
perfect.
Sing about the old roan horse or something.
Yes,
and that's kind of her vision for that. So it's starting to take shape. So
good. Well, that'll be fun to follow along and see that coming together.
And this is kind of exciting. So we've had some big names that have chosen our product, and we're not sure how that happened, but last week was the debut of our teepees on a little show called Yellowstone. There was two of our teepees there in the show, and we've had them our teepees featured in Filson ads, and we're going on the 7th of July. And there's a young guy, real good photographer. He's doing a big layout for Schaefer Clothing, and we're putting 6 of our teepees in that layout, and we're kind of excited about that too. It never hurts your business to have things like that. So,
no, absolutely not. Congratulations, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's been pretty neat to watch those sort of things. When Amy got the PayPal, usually we run PayPal or Square or whatever for our thing, but when Paramount Pictures sends you money for a product, that we just couldn't believe it. We thought, what in the world have we got here?
That's awesome.
But, yeah.
Well, how do we follow along and keep up with everything you guys have going on?
Our presence, social media wise, Amy does a very good job daily. Instagram it kind of tells our story on a day-to-day basis. We like to include our friends. We like to include who stops by. If you follow us on Instagram, JBarD Canvas and Leather, and also on the Book of Faces, we that's how we got our start. Actually, we kind of niched in on Facebook before everyone was advertising and selling. Somehow or another, we got in some of these cowboy groups, and that's how we got our start. And I don't think we'll always have a little bit of a presence there where people can follow along and see, but that's JBarD Canvas and Leather also. And keep an eye out also on the other those catalogs, the Filson catalogs, and just look. If you see us somewhere and we don't know about it, get a hold of us and show us. That's what we love. Is people sharing their photos with us, and it's kind of driven this company. The guy who bought a bed tarp and took it to into some of the parks or in the Banff or whatever. Those pictures, they tell a story of who's using our products, and people can identify with that the most. So if you see our stuff and you have our stuff and you have a picture or a little video or something, our business thrives on those. Without those, we couldn't have built 20 bed tarps. From the very beginning, that's what sold our product.
So good. Okay.
Hope I answered your question there.
Yeah, that's great. I'll be sure to link to those in the show notes, and everybody can go check those out. Those pictures he's talking about they're so cool. So, well, Shane, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been great.
Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you for calling us. And when you're getting ready to travel this way, make sure you stop in here.
Will do.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, I love the principles that Shane and Amy have built this business on, and their heart for giving and investing in the next generation of cowboys. And I'm excited to follow along as they start to create their Canvas Under the Stars experience. I trust you're super inspired from today's episode and probably have a handful of people would love to hear it. So go ahead and text them the link and leave us a kind review while you're at it so we can keep spreading the Rural Revival message far and wide. And stay tuned with us on Instagram and Facebook at Rural Revival Co. to stay updated on this podcast and all things Rural Revival related. We'll catch you next time on the Rural Revival podcast. Have a great day, everybody.